For a character as rich as Superman, it's actually quite surprising that his rogues gallery remains largely untapped on the big screen. Barring Lex Luthor, General Zod, and a rather unconvincing Doomsday in 2016's Batman v Superman, no other Superman villain has made a full cinematic live-action bow. It's a weird situation for the Man of Steel, as although he's only rivaled for villains by Batman, Flash, and Spider-Man, filmmakers have been reluctant to mine his universe quite as fully. With the news that Henry Cavill looks set to continue as the Man of Steel in the DCEU, Warner Bros. Would be remiss to not have him face off with at least some of these iconic adversaries. I'm Ewan from What Culture Comics, and here are 10 essential Superman villains not yet used in the movies. Number 10. Parasite. Parasite isn't just one of Superman's most repulsive adversaries, but one of his most dangerous too. Like most of Supes' post-crisis adversaries, Parasite made a name for himself as a darker, more physical challenge for the Man of Steel to overcome. His powers, as the name sort of already suggests, allow him to leech the power off of anyone he feasts on, including Superman. That makes him a formidable villain, and while he's not really capable of anchoring a feature all on his own, he'd work well in a villainous ensemble, especially when he's managed to challenge the Man of Steel as much as he has since his first appearance. Number 9. Sam Lane. As far as villains go, Sam Lane isn't exactly the most iconic, or even really the most villainous. A US Army general and father to Daily Planet reporter Lois Lane, Sam's post-crisis villainy manifested in his disapproval of his daughter's engagement to Clark Kent and in his skepticism of Superman's presence on Earth. Their relationship was complicated further by Lane's role in Lex Luthor's presidential administration, with the general becoming the Secretary of Defense through to the costly events of the Imperiex War. Earthly opposition to Superman was already broached, somewhat clumsily, in Dawn of Justice, but that's no reason to omit Lane from the franchise's future, even if he only appears in a supporting capacity. Number 8. Metallo. Another Silver Age terror created by Robert Bernstein and Al Plastino, Metallo is Superman's worst fear come to life, an android powered by the only element that could possibly kill him. He's featured sporadically throughout the character's comics, but in providing a genuinely terrifying threat, Metallo's importance is best made clear. There have been quite a few Metallos in Superman's history, but perhaps the most successful is the fourth one, the post-crisis version of John Corbin. Fatally injured in a car crash, Corbin happens upon Professor Emmett Vale, a paranoid robotics engineer convinced that Superman will hasten the end of the world with an army of Kryptonian soldiers. Vale saves Corbin, but at immense cost. Awakening in a new kryptonite-powered body, Corbin, now going by Metallo, kills Vale before setting out to take on Superman in his new body. Number 7. Toyman. Like most of Superman's villains, the Toyman has undergone a lot of changes since his original appearance. As the name suggests, Toyman, real name Winslow Schott, has a bit of an obsession with toys and, as he is a villain, toy-themed death traps. However, what was once a fairly comedic character is today a rather unsettling one, with the villain's appearance in Superman the Animated Series a testament to that. Sporting a doll-like mask and a creepy voice provided by Bud Cort and then Corey Burton, Toyman stood out immediately as an unnerving villain, one more closely aligned to the terrifying inflections of Gotham City than the bombast and bustle of Superman's metropolis. Number 6. Mr. Mixel Spitlick. The villain whose name everyone can't pronounce, Mr. That Guy, is one of the oddest characters in DC's library. The name should intimate as much, but while he's as weird as they come, he's still one of Supes' most iconic adversaries. Introduced in 1944 by original Superman creators Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, Mr. Mixel Spitlick is a literal imp from the fifth dimension, a pocket dimension wherein he can do anything, irrespective of the metaphysical constraints of the universe as we know it. He was a complete prankster and made it his main preoccupation to screw with Superman, and while it's hard to see him forming the crux of any future Superman production, there's a way to incorporate Mixel Spitlick without making a film feel irreverent and frustrating. In doing so, filmmakers should look towards Alan Moore's seminal Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, the writer's interpretation of the last Superman story, where Mixel Spitlick is the catalyst that triggers the Man of Steel's eventual downfall. Number 5. Bizarro. Bizarro might just be a distorted version of the Man of Steel, but his history is more complex than that. or isn't if we're in Bizarro world. Introduced in Superboy number 68 by George Papp and Otto Binder, Bizarro has been both a villain and an anti-hero, destined to forever work in the shadow of the real Kal-El. That's because he was a failed clone of the original Superman, grown in a LexCorp laboratory, and while he's fought with Supes on numerous occasions, he has made genuine efforts to emulate the Man of Steel more times than not. This makes Bizarro one of the few genuinely tragic Superman villains, and when the films have suffered from fatally one-dimensional characters time and time again, he would be a great villain to look to. Number 4. Darkseid. Although Darkseid is more of a fourth world villain than one of Superman's, the two have collided when the tyrant has set his sights on Earth. Darkseid, being the baddest guy of all, will no doubt feature when the Justice League reunite on the big screen in the future, and while he's a threat to all, there's only one way he gets sent packing: in a fight with Superman. It's a moment that's played out both in the comics and in one of the best animated sequences ever on TV, but we're still waiting for the two to throw down on the big screen. An appearance in Ava DuVernay's upcoming New Gods film is a foregone conclusion, but even if the Lord of Apocalypse ends up getting beaten there, expect him to mount a comeback later down the line. Number 3. Mongol. Most fans will probably be familiar with Mongol through his appearances on STAS and both Justice League animated shows. He's a nasty one. The ruler of Warworld, Mongol first encounters Superman when he imprisons the Kryptonian to partake in his gladiatorial arena. Mongol's most heinous act in the comics has to be the time he destroyed Coast City. His act spurred Hal Jordan to turn evil during the infamous Emerald Twilight Saga, and while he's yet to land a punch as grave as that on the Man of Steel, a Thor Ragnarok-style gladiatorial romp would suit any future Superman film. Number 2. Cyborg Superman. The Man of Steel's cyborg copy might be more of a Green Lantern villain these days, but there's no denying his tenure as one of Superman's most testing adversaries. Created in a Fantastic Four-esque experiment funded by LexCorp, Hank Henshaw and his fellow crew were blasted by solar radiation and took on nightmarish forms afterwards. Henshaw, blaming Superman for the incident, develops the ability to bond his consciousness with LexCorp tech and, finding the ship that carried Superman to Earth all those years ago, eventually fashions a body capable of the same feats as the Man of Steel's. In the wake of the last son of Krypton's death, the cyborg actually ends up imitating him for a while, being endorsed as the quote-unquote true Superman before double-crossing, well, pretty much everyone by orchestrating the destruction of Coast City with Mongol. And number 1. Brainiac. Brainiac is the most famous Superman villain never to feature on the big screen, so his chances of appearing in either the DCEU or some other sort of franchise reboot aren't all that unreasonable. Introduced in 1958's Action Comics number 242 by Otto Binder and Al Plastino, Brainiac is a sentient piece of artificial intelligence designed with the sole purpose of cataloging all the knowledge in the universe, before destroying it completely. Brainiac has tested the last son of Krypton on numerous occasions both in and out of the actual comics themselves, featuring heavily in Bruce Timm's Superman animated series and in subsequent animated efforts set within the wider DC universe. He is such an obvious choice, Superman's most iconic villain next to Luthor, and one who'd inevitably raise the stakes of any future on-screen Superman story. And yeah, that was our list on Superman villains who haven't been used in the movies. Remember, you can find more content like this at whatculture.com/comics, and more of me on Twitter at EwanRuinsThings. That's all for now though, take care, maybe check out some comics featuring the villains from this list, and I'll see you soon. Bye!